Hello.
Hello, Sachin.
Namaskar, namaskar, namaste.
Namaskar, namaskar.
How are you, Pratapji?
I'm good.
Good.
I
Were you?
did a satsang just prior to this.
Oh, okay, good, good. So, all right, that's very nice, very nice. You were able to open that link finally, right? So.
Yeah, I used the one that you sent yesterday.
Oh, okay, that did work finally. Okay, good.
Oh, the other one, the video? Yeah, it worked only on my desktop.
Oh, really? Okay.
It doesn't work on my mobile.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. I don't know. Okay, I see.
Something it said, I will tell you later. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, well, let's get started. We'll continue from last time. So let's do the welcome statement and then we'll go from there. Okay, so welcome to the Angel Wing LLC. We are continuing our exploration on various questions of consciousness, self-mastery, personal transformation, enlightenment, and all such related types of subjects with Mr. Pratap Bhatt. He gave his introduction last time and we're continuing along the same lines today. So to continue from where we were last time, one of the points that you had made and that you do make many times is about consciousness. When you use this word consciousness, how are you using that word? What does that mean to you? What is your understanding of this?
Awareness, I use this word awareness to mean that being aware is our experience. Being aware is our experience. For example, you are aware of the words that are spoken, right? Right now.
Yes, right.
And you see something, you are aware of whatever it is.
Yes.
When your eye falls in right away, you are aware of that, right?
Yes.
So awareness, I mean by that the experience, okay? It's an experience of being aware, and that experience, which never leaves you, is always present. In all our experiences of minds also, this awareness is present always. And then we can talk about it later.
Okay,
so that's what I mean, being aware. Being aware with, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, all those things makes us aware of the objects.
Yes. So then when you use the word consciousness, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, consciousness is also the same. I use synonymously. Awareness to me is consciousness also.
Okay.
Being conscious also, I can say the same thing, same experience.
Same experience. Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. So the experience is certainly there, but we see in life that there are so many types of pain. There's so much difficulty that people go through. There's a whole process of growing up in this world. There's conditioning there. There's physical suffering, mental suffering. So much is there. The body has to be maintained again and again. The body is itself perishable. So this search for that which is sacred, eternal, that consciousness or God, has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. Why is this suffering there? Why is this type of limited experience even there? What do you say about this?
Yeah, okay. So what I mean is that consciousness or awareness, when there is an awareness that is reflected in a mind, body, and the mind and body cease or we get conscious of. When we get conscious of or aware of, we get lost only in the object. We have no attention on the awareness itself is the reason for even being aware. So that's why it's more awareness noun rather than verb or anything, because it's just an awareness. It's a nature. Our nature is of awareness, through which we be aware or conscious. Consciousness is our nature. So now what happens is that we are totally lost in the objects that we are aware of. Not even knowing that we are aware of that, but with the mind, we know the objects. And then all our attentions are in the objects, and then we get tangled up in the separate objects, and then we get attached to them. And then we think that we are really this mind and body. The awareness imposes itself, this body-mind limitations on itself. It's an apparent limitations, not really. It's like when you see a reflection in the puddle, the reflection thinks that it is real, and it doesn't even know the real sun there, right? So in the same way, these limitations are imposed, and we limit ourselves to this body and mind, and so we see all of us as separate individuals. And when we have these individuals and objects, then there's something that we like, something we don't like. We have opinions, we have beliefs that we are the correct, even as a society, as a notion, we are right and the others are wrong. So all kinds of things. And most of the problem arises because of our attachment to those people. And that's why we try to hold on something which is not really can be held in. Otherwise, we possess the human, we possess the money, we possess the car, and not knowing that they really cannot be possessed. So this is a reason for suffering, and it is not going to go away until somebody is interested and inquire, like we are talking about here. And we have so many examples of the saints and sages who have shown us this path also through their experience.
Okay, so another way to approach the same question is about boundary versus boundaryless. So the boundaries are so many in life, so many different types of boundaries. Like if you look at any map, there's political boundaries. There are so many names of different countries, different divisions, different traditions have come about. There is also the tremendous diversity of languages, diversity of different beliefs, different lifestyles. We talked about diversity last time. Certainly talked about diversity last time. But nonetheless, amidst all that diversity, or within that diversity, human beings have created all sorts of divisive boundaries. Boundaries within diversity. You know, I don't think that diversity is an issue. It's the boundaries we create within diversity that's the problem. What do you say about this?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We consider everything that is really diversified experience, but we take them separate objects. Yeah, like you're saying, the boundaries, we put the boundaries around everything. Name and forms and all those things are just separate objects. That really takes away all the beauty of the diversity.
Yes, so then let me ask you about the boundary making mechanism. You know, so the boundary making mechanism, just like how we use the expression image forming mechanism, these are mechanisms, psychological mechanisms, processes that create these divisive boundaries. What do you say about the way that is created? Because right from childhood, children are brought up and they're conditioned within these divisive boundaries. That is, their whole mind is conditioned by the society as the way the society is functioning. And that conditioning is very heavy. It's there right from childhood. It's right from birth. As children are growing up, teenagers are growing up, and young adults, etc. What is needed to be aware of this conditioning? Because the conditioning is there. The conditioning is there of all different kinds.
All different types. We are raised right from the childhood through the adults around us. And then when we go to school, the teachers and everybody, and then we also read a lot, the books and everything, the TV, the media, all those things have conditioned us to take these separate objects as real. That when we take all this separation as a real, then that robs us from seeing the diversity.
Yes.
So
Yes.
then only problem can never be otherwise when other ways. The problems are all our separation, and we never question these separations exist only in our mind. Because as I said, and you said also, the conditioning from growing up, said this is your father, this is your mother, this is tree, this is dog, this is that, you are like this, you are like that. All the separate objects are all stored in the memory, right? That's mind in the memory. And then we never even think that we are using the mind. The word in our mind becomes our word. And what robs us, another thing is that we always look at as if I am looking at the things. No awareness. I am looking at the thing. And I am located in this body. That's how we think. But suppose if we take an analogy from a sun, for example, if sun is looking at the earth, for example,
Yes.
sun will not have any separation, right? It's just looking at the whole beauty, existence, even if it is a divided existence, sun, first of all, will not even see that. But if there is divided existence, that's the truly a beauty. It's a diversity, and it's a beautiful diversity at the nature and everything. We don't see that way. We will always see from being located in the body-mind.
Yes. Yes, and
that just contracts our views.
Yes, 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 exactly. See, you use the word contraction. Our Angel Wing program, we have Dr. Elizabeth Berman, and she uses this expression all the time about expansion and contraction. So that contraction is really something, because it really is a massive form of bondage. It's binding all of humanity.
All of humanity, yes. Those who have never questioned, and our conditioning doesn't allow us to even question. Say, hey, that's what it is. That's how we live, right? We're believing that, and it's all a belief system.
Yes.
On the top of it, it's all a belief system.
Yes.
But if I now, with this kind of inquiry and all that, if I take my stand as if I am looking like a sun is looking at, I am looking at myself only. Through the body and the mind as a tool, I am looking at myself only.
Yes, 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 yes. That's right. That's right. So that raises the other question of choiceless awareness. Choiceless awareness is something that J. Krishnamurti and others have talked about quite a bit.
Yeah.
When you're now talking about seeing things from this, this consciousness and from broader perspective, let's say, there's no involvement of the individual being in that. The individualized self is not involved in that as such. There is just pure observation. What do you say about this?
In that sense, that individual is like a tool to live in the world of duality. Individuals have the function. Only thing that we take the individual as my real self. That's the problem, as I see it. Otherwise, the individuality has its purpose, it's its function.
Yes, yeah.
But as an instrument. And then it has to know that this awareness that I am is the master mechanic.
Yes.
So it's in that hand there that which tool is to be used, meaning which mind body is to be used for what.
Right.
That kind of intelligence is there. This consciousness is not simply consciousness. It's itself is a love, unconditional love first and foremost, and then
Yes.
universal intelligence also at the same time. When the realization happens, then it is seen as that because it has no opposites.
Right. So an individual who is living in this relative world, who is embarking on this journey of self-mastery, self-realization,
Right. Mm-hmm.
would need to recognize, it seems to me, that there is a need for total perception. The perception in its entirety is seeing things in their fullness, even seeing the diversity of life in all of its glory, in its fullness. And in seeing things in their fullness,
Mm-hmm.
that is where there is awareness, where choice is not involved.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Choice is not involved in the fullness of the perception of diversity.
Right. Exactly.
Right? Would you like to say something about
things? Yeah, I agree totally with that. That when we perceive the diversity, right, various things, when we perceive apparently separate existence, apparently,
right,
then our perceptions tells us that we only experience one thing, and one, not a thing, but we experience only being aware of the existence. And then that existence is also experienced as the consciousness itself. Then it becomes full, you know?
Right, that's really
complete.
Yeah, that's really
Because
something.
then there is nothing else. It's Advaita.
Yes, it's a non-dual awakening, or an awakening into the. It's an awakening into a non-dual state.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, an awakening into a non-dual state. It may sound abstract, but it's actually very straightforward. It doesn't seem to be anything really very difficult in that sense. We make it very hard. I think it's just a matter of seeing things as they are and dropping all of that unnecessary baggage that we carry.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, we're carrying so much of this kind of internal baggage, which you know, where there is there's a journey that needs to be taken by an individual to recognize this relationship with the outside world. You know, like you are the world is you. This idea that it's one. It's not two different things.
Yes.
It's not that I am in the world and the world is in me, but I am the world and the world is me.
Yes. Beautifully said. Yes, that's the journey.
That's the journey, right? So there's journey, but that journey is through inquiry, through dialogue, through self-awareness, self-probing, being very silent, being very clear. Even if there are religious practices done or meditation practices, those practices are only aiming towards this type of awareness.
Yes, very good. Because I think that most of the times when we meditate, the purpose of the meditation to me now is to be able to see first-handed, kind of a first-handed things that we were listening through our teachers, our gurus, and our own experiences.
Yes.
And that will tell us that everything, the thoughts are so fleeting, they come and they go, but we are always aware as a witness. You know, when there is no identification with the thought, then you automatically you automatically become or take stand as the witness, this witnessing consciousness. Witness is the consciousness.
Yes, yes.
It only
Right.
gets identified and then takes us away from seeing the full perception.
Yes, yes, definitely. And see, all of this requires considerable amount of patience. It requires active listening and carefully really looking at these questions with a very open mind, because many people are not ready to really touch these ideas that you're talking about, that this oneness with the world outside. These seem like very big things actually, but I wonder if it can be put in a way that it really just directly touches everyone, that this is true, not because it's somebody's opinion, it's truth that's just is right in front of us. Right. So because it's in front of us, then all that is really needed is for us to see that truth that's already there. It's not creating something that's not there.
But when we hear the word awareness, then it does not occur to most of us that what we are seeing, what we are being aware of, what we are conscious of.
Yes.
Then who is this that is conscious?
Right.
Not the what we are conscious of, but who is it? That our conditioning never teaches us that.
Right.
And it cannot perhaps teach us also. So all our life is spent in perceiving all the objects, taking them as a real, based on their names and forms, make all this conditioning, make us that all those that we perceive are real. And that's where we don't pay attention and turn back within us in the sense to see who is that makes it even possible for us to be aware of the objects.
Yes, yes.
A fundamental thing is then when our interest, due to whatever reason, our suffering, this and that, and some people are getting tired of all those things, and then they turn to this spirituality, right? So whatever the reason may be, but as long as there is no interest in other than the perceived objects, this journey cannot start to take us to this unity under this diversity. And the beauty of the word, the love, the unconditional love, peace that doesn't depend on anything.
Yes, exactly.
In our nature.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and there is a great simplicity in this.
When we wake up to our true nature being the non-dual reality,
yes,
it's not like a state. When I say state, arises in this awareness. The state comes and goes. Like a samadhis are states, because they come and then they go, right?
Right.
That which our nature is cannot go anywhere. Once you realize that this is what I really am, then there is no way turning back,
Yes.
Like us, my example is that sun. What we call sun is the experience of always shining and make us feel hot or what, that we tell, sun just shines, okay? Mm-hmm. Now it cannot not shine because its nature is that. It's not the sun has some state and then it is the state of our experience of being light and heat goes away and replaced by something else. No, nature means it's a permanent reality. There is no sun and the experience of sun different.
Yes,
this exactly is sun.
Okay, very good. So let's see if we can look at this in another way. there is a quote from Raman Maharishi. He said the following: your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render the world. You know, your own self-realization is the greatest service you can render to the world.
Right.
What do you think that means in terms of what we're talking about, like with regards to humanity uplifting? That, you know, there's so many different types of effort.
The way I understand that statement of Raman Maharishi is that the greatest thing in this world is the truth. Realization of who we truly are. The truth is the most important thing, for which we never pursue the truth right from the childhood. That the belief system and all that prevents us. Our conditioning prevents us.
Yes.
And that's why when you realize the truth, then this truth speaks from Raman Maharishi body mind and shares its truth with the others. And a lot of people change, but of course, it's the greatest thing for one to realize the truth, and that truth will itself share. Raman Maharishi doesn't have to run to tell people, come on, so hear me, and all that. The truth itself is now guiding that body mind to say whatever they need to be said and share it with the people so that they will also realize it. It's the most important truth realization, as I understood, is to share with others that we are all sharing one reality, the truth. And when you do that, you will be free from the suffering.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the greatest service to the humanity, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. So serving humanity has very much to do with being very responsible for one's own enlightenment, one's own evolution, one's own realization of the truth.
Right.
It's more fundamental than anything else, it seems
Than
like.
anything else. Because that's my understanding, that it's the most important thing a human can do.
Yes, and most people do everything except that.
Except that, right? Yeah, somehow it's kind of paradox. It's so important, and yet very few people do it.
It's really something, because when we consider things like depression, anxiety, worry, tension, fear, blame, shame, this phenomena that goes on, so many people have tried to deal with these things through counseling, therapy, psychiatry, psychology, all that. And that has a place also, that's okay. It has a place. But it seems like what Vedanta is providing, or what you're trying to present here, is something that is so profound that it is like, it's a radical transformation, as Krishnamurti's language.
The radical transformation. Beautiful word.
Right. Yeah. Yes, radical transformation. That is not. It is a profound transformation in the depths of psychological consciousness.
Right.
You know, psychological consciousness is there, and then there is the actual consciousness. There's the consciousness that manifests through the mind. There's that level of it, and then there is that consciousness that is transcendent to the mind, beyond the mind.
Beyond the mind.
Right. So the mind and its distortions, its twists, turns, its movement, the movement of the mind. That movement of the mind is the key, because that's the one thing that we have access to, the way the mind is moving, the way our thoughts and feelings and emotions and memories and intentions and desires, and these things are moving in different ways. You know, so what is your understanding about the force that is moving the mind? Because the mind is like a machine, it's a mechanism, as you've mentioned before also. So, but no machine or no mechanism can exist without energy. and that energy is dynamic. The mind is not a static phenomena, it's a dynamic phenomena, and there is energy that is running through it. So what is to be understood by the expression movement of the mind?
Movement of the mind, to me, the definition of mind itself, there is no such thing as mind in itself that we experience. We experience the ceaseless thoughts, right? They come and go, come and go. That's what our experience is. And that's what, to me, is the mind. That experience itself is the mind.
Yes.
And that with these ceaseless thoughts, there are some thoughts, some memories are useful to discover something that will be helpful to the body, that we call medicine. It's useful to morality, so that we form the religion, and that has some intellectual understanding, comes from this mind also, but in a limited way. So mind to me is like that, and that is thoughts keep on moving, really. That's the movement that thoughts arise, thought go, come.
Right. So in Angel Wing, we talk a lot about self-mastery. So mastery of the mind, as like Shankaracharya ji has said, jitam jagat kena manohi yena, which means one who has won the mind has won the world.
Yeah.
So this is one from one of his scriptures. So different sages have described this mental phenomena in different ways, but it seems like all of them are saying that one needs to win the mind, one needs to stabilize the mind, one needs to harmonize the mind, one needs to, or some are saying ignore the mind completely. Some are saying don't identify with the mind. Some are saying, others are saying, no, use the mind to connect with God, like in Christianity and other religious traditions. There are hundreds of perspectives on what is mind and what to do with this mind. I mean, if we're saying that mind is a tool, then tool implies it is used to achieve something.
Right.
Used to do something. That's what a tool would mean, right? So,
right.
So if mind is a tool, then what is that tool acting upon?
That's exactly what I was saying. My understanding that I will share, that it's not really the mind that has to be blamed in the first place, because the mind acts only through this sense of me that we derive by identifying with the mind. And that sense of I is the really it's only a thought itself from the mind, because it comes with the identity. But this thought is not understood as a thought, and my name becomes me in the sense that this name is given to the content of the mind, and that
right. So let me ask you a question right there. When you say content of the mind, right? The name is given to the content of the mind. Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by content of the mind?
Content of the mind meaning that when we grow up, all the conditioning that we are raised with becomes the memory in the mind. And that memory responds as thoughts, right? The memory responds as thought. So mind in itself cannot speak. So then there has to be something that will speak for mind, and that's the mind-based sense of Pratap or Sachin or anybody for that matter.
Yes.
Right? So that thought of Pratap will speak for the mind as thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like who he is. He is the sun, he is this, and all the relative things are in the mind that becomes a real I. That becoming real I robs our mind from serving us as a tool. as the tool. So when there is no choices, that Krishnamurti uses choiceless thing, when there is no choice, there is no identification with the mind as a separate I. Other than the mind itself is really the instrument in the hands of awareness, because mind's contents are shining only in the awareness, right?
You know, that's very powerful, because that such an open mind, even with all of its content, such an open mind has tremendous inner space. There's so much space for growth in that sense.
Very nicely said, open mind.
And I would also say that there is a growth of this awareness, although awareness in one sense is absolute, the absolute consciousness, but psychological consciousness, it seems to me that it grows in its expansion is in such a way that it resonates with that absolute consciousness. And then eventually it is that absolute consciousness.
And this, what you term as a psychological consciousness, is this I, separate I.
Yes, exactly. And it's that separate I that contracts and expands. So the expansion contraction is psychological.
It tries to manipulate the mind.
Yes, that's all true. That's right. So the expansion and contraction is still within the realm of the mind.
Right?
Okay, right. So I mean, there are many examples that people can do different meditations or different prayers, or they can even take drugs or do other things, and you can have expansive states of the mind. It's possible. But that is still very different from the complete and total observation and awareness of the structure of the entire mind, which would mean the realization of the flux of the mind. So when there is realization of the flux of the mind, the fluctuations, all the fluctuations of the mind, it seems to me that it is in those states, in those I don't want to say states, but in that pure perception, there is freedom, true freedom, that just dawns in the present.
It dawns to the one that was manipulating the mind is a thought.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
This thought, it's a realization on the part of this thought.
Yes.
What he truly is not a reality.
Right.
There is one observer, one experience that is happening every moment, and that is whatever arises, it arises in the consciousness.
So
that's all moment to moment to moment.
Yes.
Until the mind starts to express that,
right.
Then it uses the language and all those things. But then it implies that I am saying this. It is my opinion, all those things.
Right.
Everything is from the mind.
Yes.
So it usurps the mind's information, and acting as a tool, it usurps that and keeps it with itself.
Yes.
You see? Otherwise, the mind is really acting as a tool. Because when you need some information, everything is provided by the mind. Our health, everything is provided by the mind, where to go, what to do. But these manipulators, the separate awareness, really it's awareness in ignorance, identifies with the mind and derives a sense of this separate identity.
Yes.
This separate identity should be itself the tool.
Yes.
And then it can work with the mind so that we can share our minds as a tool, one tool in the toolbox. We can share this tool with so many other such knowledge, and derive the benefit of the entire universal mind. Mind's content appears in individual mind, but actually the collection of all mind's content is one universal mind. And we have no problem when we work with the functional part of this contents, because then we share. We don't have any problem sharing, like my favorite example. So the plumber, doctor goes to the plumber and the plumber comes to the doctor, and all those things are happening with no problem, no ego or anything hurts, right? But when it comes to me being a psychological entity, this is my nation, this is me, my caste, my race, my religion, all those things, so much divide us from the others. So that kind of a content, the belief in all those things are misused by this in ignorance of not knowing. Otherwise, conscious witness of the mind is always beyond the mind.
Yeah.
And that beyond the mind uses this wisely, the particular tool that we call mind body.
Yeah.
Actually mind, really, because body is also in the mind.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. In all of this that you're expressing, it seems to me that there is a great deal of healing power in this. The healing power that the mind that is hurt, the hurt that is there in the human condition is healed by this understanding, by this realization.
Heals by this understanding. Beautifully
Yes.
said. Beautifully said. Yeah.
Because
who is hurt, now we know who is hurt does not even exist.
Right.
In reality, doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But it is a tool, nevertheless.
Yes.
So when I am hurt, it's this false sense of me taken real. And I like this very much, just to say the Krishnamurti,
Yes.
when you say that's a tree, it's really the mind that tells us, right? Mind is observing it, right? And tells us that it's a tree. But when we speak, that's a tree, then we create this separate, that I am the observer. Mind is mine. Mind is in my control. I can control it. All those things.
Yes.
That's the artificial duality, because that's what he says. The observer is the observed. There's no duality there.
Right.
That duality is the problem.
Definitely. And if we look at the list of various psychological disorders and those kinds of things, you will find they're all elaborate explanations of the fragmentation effect. Certain deficits like
fragmentation. Oh, beautiful word. Yeah.
So they're all fragmentation, like depression and anxiety and bipolar disorder and all these things. These are all psychological fragmentations. That's really what they are. And
most psychological harms us more, because that means me, this entity me, and all other entities also as the image.
Yeah.
This may central image, and around which all these other images. And so that is so much fragmentation of the mind.
Very much so.
In a harmful way, because we keep fighting inside our mind, thinking that we are doing something, fighting with the others.
Yes, definitely.
So we never deal with the outside person as presented to us by God. We deal only that person in our mind. And
also we don't deal with even ourselves as we are.
Right, yeah, that too.
So there is a learning about oneself. Let's say I want to learn about myself. Moment to moment. It is a moment to moment discovery that and that moment to moment learning about myself as I am is extraordinarily vital. It's
extraordinarily vital.
It's extraordinarily vital.
Cannot emphasize it more.
Yeah, exactly. It is living and dynamically moving, and it is a dynamism that is alive within us, that is our life force. And when we are in touch with that, then the fragmentation effect and all of the distorted processes of the mind, these things really naturally dissipate, it seems to me.
Dissipate is a correct word. Very good, yeah. We don't, in spite of all those fragmentation, we find our freedom to rise above.
Right.
And these very fragments become our aids.
So let's give some examples. In Angel Wing, we are starting something called the Quantum Transformation Program that is specifically towards people with addiction issues, drug and alcohol addiction, gambling addiction, internet addiction, shopping addiction. It's specifically for that group of people. Everybody in general, but like it's targeted for that. You know, when we think about this word addiction, first of all, the word is never the actual thing. So this is true. But in the professional literature, there's quite a bit of research and discussion about this. And when a person is addicted to a substance like heroin or cocaine or whatever, they're addicted to it because they're chasing an experience that is generated artificially by hyperstimulation of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
That experience is perceived to be joy, that they want that experience badly. You know, but that experience with drugs, alcohol, gambling, tobacco, whatever, those experiences are real, but they are actually causing, they are the result of psychological fragmentation and hyper focus. They are not actually opening the doorway into super consciousness or higher consciousness or any of that.
Not opening.
They're actually shutting off the mind in a very harmful manner. I mean, there's tremendous harm to the brain, which is proven, but it's very interesting because it's a search. It's a search for unending joy that we call ananda, but searches for the right thing using a completely wrong, distorted, and highly confused method.
Yeah, because it creates the dependency. Because
exactly.
After these and that, it goes away.
Exactly.
So then you want again. Want again. So dependency is more of a problem.
Yes, exactly. And that's where the word conditioning comes into play. It's conditioning. It's a heavy type of blockage in the mind. The mind is heavily blocked.
Habits, yes.
So what we are trying to present in Angel Wing is exactly what you are talking about, just using some different language maybe.
Yeah.
Where an individual becomes it's so clear that pursuing this old pattern of using these drugs or substances or pornography or whatever the addiction is, that this thing has, it's basically a dead end. It's not going to take me where I want to go.
No, it's a dead end. Right?
It's a dead end, right?
Circle.
It's a circle, and it is a dead end, and it is like a funnel that will drown the individual further into lower states of consciousness, even lower states of psychological consciousness. So you see, psychological consciousness, fluctuates, and so there are lower levels of it, and there are higher levels of it. Like in terms of this Vedanta terminology, sattva gun, rajo gun, tamo gun. The tamo gun is the lower level of the consciousness. And the sattva gun is the higher level of it. But it's still within the realm of the mind.
Yeah.
The phenomenon is within the realm of the mind. So like using Krishnamurti's language, a pathless path to dissolve addiction is to completely and in its entirety to perceive every aspect of it choicelessly, to see it in its wholeness, and that perception itself liberates the individual.
Yeah.
What do you say about this?
Yeah, exactly. I would say a same thing, and it might be a different vocabulary, is that those kind of habits they are basically make us so much dependent on them that we just cannot live without them.
Yes, exactly.
That's the thing that starts to put person in bondage.
Yes.
And when he doesn't get it, it's all kind of a thing, suffering and this and that. And it's like it drowns the person.
Exactly. And the amount of money, amount of energy and time that is spent in this in the world is incredible. It is said that at least 1/3 or more of the US economy is based on illegal drugs. At least that much. It's all the whole economic system is based on all of this downfall.
It exploits these human habits and tendencies and all those things. Exploits in order for other people to make money through that.
Exactly, and also, I mean, I think if we really see the chain reaction, if one individual, for example, commits a crime due to an addiction, now there's that individual has to pay the lawyers, and the criminal justice system is active because of that, and it could be almost like 50-60 people can get involved, and they are paid by the government or by insurance companies or whoever because of one person drowning in this lower level of consciousness.
Right.
Other people's livelihood is sustained because of that.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at this from an Advaita point of view, we can say this is a Leela. This is unbelievable. This is
yeah, Leela. And because this consciousness, this reality is a welcoming presence in us.
Yes.
So it does not say no to the ignorance, no to the dependency. Doesn't. As much as it says yes to everything that arises in it.
Yes.
That's the beauty. It's a freedom, right?
Right.
The freedom will not say, hey, not this and not that and all that. It's a welcoming presence. Now, if you find out that who you truly are, you are this welcoming presence.
You know what that sounds like? It's like when one realizes all this, one has freedom to bind oneself, and one has freedom to remain free.
Yeah, the one that binds oneself, I call that a free will.
It's a free will.
Not really freedom.
It's not really freedom.
Freedom to me, I use the word. I mean, if you mean the same thing, then it's okay.
Yeah.
But freedom to me is you rise above this falsity.
Yeah. Yes.
False as a false. To rise above the falsity in spite of them being there.
Yes, right. So that rising above the falsity and then engaging in that activity, that is called Leela.
That's Leela. Exactly right. That's the Leela or a drama that consciousness is playing.
Yes.
All of us body minds by giving us different roles through our education, through our conditioning, and all those things are our clothing. Costumes, right, that we wear, that consciousness wears to play the Leela.
Yes. Yeah.
The only one thing that is important, as I understand, that to play Leela as Leela, you have to know that it is Leela in your experience.
Otherwise
you are going to suffer.
Yes, definitely.
When there is a bad role, you have to die also in the Leela, right?
Oh, sure. So many things go on then.
But you will not be afraid.
Well, exactly. It's very, very probing to see and very fascinating that that the broader our perspective becomes, it's to that extent, and only to that extent, can we keep seeing the bigger picture. And the more we see the bigger picture, the more we go into that witnessing consciousness. Sakshi Bhav. In Vedanta is called Sakshi Bhav. The witnessing consciousness is seeing things. I mean, to me, Sakshi Bhav is the same thing as choiceless awareness. The choiceless awareness and Sakshi Bhav are the same thing. I don't know if you think they're the same or not.
Yeah, choiceless awareness and the Sakshi Bhav or witnessing is the same.
It's the same.
Yeah, because it does not say no to anything.
Yes, exactly.
I use the word welcoming presence, but it is a Sakshi Bhav.
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly. So in that witnessing consciousness, as Vedanta, this is a Vedantic term, the Sakshi Bhav. It's part of the Gyan Yoga, or Gnan Yoga has this aspect to it, this witnessing aspect. So witness, to be a witness to all phenomena, and to see things as they are in the realm of the relative world, without any kind of individualized involvement in that.
Yeah,
that
I would say yes.
Right. So even though one does get involved, but that involvement is like this Leela idea. It's more of a play and more for drama, and it's not an involvement out of the mind-based psychological me that is just thinking that that's all there is. Then you forget that it's
not in the defensive mode.
It's not in
mind is I is always in the defensive mode, right?
Yes. Exactly. So
the beauty about this being a Sakshi, or being a witness, is that right away, as soon as we are witnessing, there is no identification.
Exactly. So the identification is really thrown off immediately.
And you become choiceless by definition of witnessing, and you take your stand as this reality awareness. Because who can witness? Only reality can witness, right?
Yes. I don't know if you remember J. Krishnamurti's dialogues with David Bohm on the ending of time. And the ending of time dialogues are so profound.
I heard it in books. I read the book. I went to the Ojai. I watched the videos.
They're extraordinary.
One of the best dialogue.
One of the best, right? And eventually, towards the end of that whole series, Krishnamurti talks about the ground. He doesn't want to use absolute and being. He doesn't want to use traditional language. He uses a different word, that is ground. The ground of being, or whatever it is. But which is existence itself, which is not just nothingness, and it's not just the non-existence, or it's not just universal consciousness. It's even beyond all of that. And that to me very much sounds like what Advaita says is the Brahman, the absolute Brahman.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think he's talking about the same thing. It's not. He's just using a different. He doesn't want to identify with the Advaita tradition. That's why.
He didn't want to make that like a. People will run with those vocabulary and not go deep.
That's why, right? But see, based on our dialogue here so far, in our exploration so far, and your perspective, which is really awesome, when there is true Sakshi Bhav, this witnessing consciousness is there, interaction with the world, without all the entanglements of any kind. There's interaction as needed as a tool and all. Okay, so let's assume for a moment all that is going on. Well, if all that is going on, then really what you have is a life of tremendous energy and steadiness. This is what I feel is what would happen. A great deal of conserved energy, great deal of steadiness, openness, a silent mind that is very still, so still that there is now the possibility of seeing into that unknown dimension. This gets metaphysical at this point. Even Krishnamurti's dialogues with Anderson talks about this at the very end, the 18th, 19th, and 20th dialogue with Professor Anderson. He talks about that meditation, you are able to see into dimension that you have never seen before. So, and that can happen at nighttime because the mind is completely still. If the mind is completely still, that means all of the content of the mind is completely still. It's not fragmentary, and all that stuff is gone. So the content is there. One is not even identified with the content. Now there is a dimensional jump into something much beyond. What do you think about this?
What I am saying that when mind becomes silent because of the awareness is realized as welcoming or witnessing presence, the mind becomes silent, and at the same time it remains open, then this wisdom of awareness or consciousness or universal intelligence, the same thing, or God, whatever you call it, comes and it can direct the mind.
Yes,
Mind
that's
can
true.
never know this
Right.
awareness, because mind only can know object. So it has to
Yes.
objectify,
Yes.
which this awareness cannot be objectified.
No, that's right. That's correct. So,
But then the dimension is this way. It will descend on the mind rather than mind try to grab it.
grab it. Yeah, that's the via negativa, the backdoor approach.
Yeah, backdoor. Very good. Yeah.
Backdoor is it's a backdoor, and even Krishnamurti's dialogues with Houston Smith talk about this. There's a very nice dialogue. It's on YouTube. If you put J. Krishnamurti and Houston Smith, you know he talks about this with him, and he's mentioned it in other places because Krishnamurti doesn't want to talk about a process to get to that point. He's
Right.
there's no path to that. It's pathless. So
That's the most important, if I may say that.
yes,
The most important thing about this Advaita teaching that I have learned really from Krishnamurti, but at that time I did not recognize. In this path of realizing who you are, it's purely a recognition or a cognitive approach. It's not something that you become. It's if you are already there, but you did not know. So it's
Yes.
a discovery. So
Yes.
discovery through the experience, which is coming out only as understanding.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
that's the reason that you don't have to do anything. It's not a doing,
Yes.
it's just a knowing. And
Yes.
all our other parts of the mind, like functional knowledge, you have to know and then you have to do. Like you
Sure.
have to know the recipe, you have to know the music, you have to know all those things and then do something. But in this path, it's not doing. You see, that's why he says, see the false as the false, and the truth shall liberate you, right?
Yes, exactly.
That I say, now I understand what it really means. It's just a total understanding out of the watching the experience and taking your stand as a welcoming.
You know, it's very interesting because there is also the Tantra tradition in India and throughout the world. It is called non-dual Shaiva Tantra, non-dual Shaiva Tantra. And there's quite a bit of literature on this, and it's very profound. It's very interesting. It's very interesting in the sense that it doesn't reject the existence of the world. The world and its experiences are very real, as per Tantra, and because they are considered to be real, they are also a doorway into that supreme consciousness. So every experience through the senses and the mind of in the relative framework, in the relative world, is also a doorway to the highest of realization.
It could be because every experience that we have with the mind, which always says subject object only, right?
Yes,
Mind.
yes,
But
yes.
that the possibility of that experience is made only by a presence of awareness.
Yes, yes.
Because if there is no seeing, then
Yes.
you cannot have object seen and the subject seer.
You know the way yes,
Tripura
yes,
Rahasya. You know,
yes,
there's a book
yes.
on it. Yeah.
Yes.
So you are right. All mundane experience also can be our doorway.
Yeah.
If we know that. I think Kashmiri Shaivism is this Tantra kind of
Yes,
thing.
that's what it is. Kashmiri Shaivism is what is called non-dual Shaiva Tantra. That's the same thing. And there's a great philosopher. His name is Christopher Wallace. He's written on Tantra Illuminated. There's several books. He's done lots of research. He's a doctoral level researcher, and he's a practitioner also of Vedanta and Tantra and whatnot. And it's tremendous. I mean, there are fantastic scriptures on this. But without going into all that depth at this point, what is interesting here is that the experience of the senses, whatever that experience may be, that experience is occurring. That experience is occurring because I exist. If I don't exist, there is no experience of anything. And that's the most fascinating thing. There's a tremendous truth.
I as the reality.
Yes,
okay?
I
because
as the
even
reality.
if I see and say this word is illusion and this is illusion,
yeah,
I cannot say I have to be a real to say that that is an illusion, right? You know why? Because illusion cannot say that it's illusion. The other thing is illusion. Only a reality can say it's an illusion.
Yes, exactly.
You see what I mean? Now, when you say something is changing, the one who says that changing cannot be a changing. It has to be changeless. One who says it's an illusion, the reality only can say that it's an illusion. Otherwise, the illusion can never say that illusion. My mind and body-based I cannot say it's an illusion.
Right.
It can say like it just memorized it from intellectual. But when I say it's an illusion, then I take my stand only as an awareness, reality, in other words.
Yes, exactly.
That's the very powerful from Advaita I learned is that illusion is always, wherever there is an illusion, right underneath there is a reality.
Yes, there has to be.
Illusions exist independently.
No, it cannot.
Thought only can be mithya, seen as a mithya.
Sure. That's the thing about the rope and the snake, the rope and the snake analogy.
Very good. Okay, very nice.
Right. Very interesting. Okay, so we are at 9:09 p.m. right now. So thank you very much, Mr. Pratap Bhatt.
And I equally thank you so much for being a part of this interview of LLC Angel Week.
No, it's really quite interesting. Chetana has started this platform, and I'm having these conversations with various people at this point, and everyone has fascinating things to say. They come from so many backgrounds, and it's all a search for the ultimate truth and how to develop further and contemplate on human problems and all of these things. It's a fantastic journey. So we will keep moving ahead. I'll stop the recording here. Just hold on.